Okay guys, I just got my Skyjacker suspension in. Let's put this thing in. I put the Skyjacker suspension on. Let's take a measurement, and I'm going to measure from the concrete to the bottom of the front fender, and that is 32 7/8. 32 7/8 for the front. And let's do the back. From the concrete to the back of the Jeep is 24 1/2. This is what was included in my Skyjacker kit. This is a 2.5 inch suspension lift. We've got 4 springs. These two are the rear. These two are the front. And this is the comparison between the old springs that was on the Jeep versus the new. It also came with the 4 shocks, and it came with new U-bolts. It does not come with the nuts. In addition, it does have the bushings that go in the end of the eyelets here. So let's get busy installing this thing. A little bit of grease on the bolt. Okay, I'm not going to tighten anything until I get everything on the ground. Okay, I've got the front spring mounted at the rear as well as to the front. And now all I'm doing is connecting the large U-bolts to the spring carrier down here. The larger or the longer U-bolt goes here, obviously.
I do like the fact that these Skyjacker shocks come with these brand new boots. That's gonna look nice.
Alright, we got the shocks in, the springs in, got everything attached. I can now put the wheels on and lower the vehicle, and then from there is when I will tighten the bolts that you see here as well as here. And I will only tighten those once I get it on the ground. Yeah, I like the fact that the Skyjacker comes with these nice boots. Okay, this is something of importance that I would check before I even started my installation. Number one is look at this little tab on the top of your springs that go to the rear. Notice that the ones that come off of the Jeep, the stock springs are, that shows 12.25 millimeters or 12.24 millimeters. Alright, let's look at the springs that came with a Skyjacker. I was having a hard time getting that little index thing to fit, and the reason is because it's much bigger. Alright, so instead of 12.25, let's see what we have. 14.25. So 2 millimeters larger diameter on the spring that comes with the Skyjacker. Guess what? That's not going to fit in the hole if it's that much bigger. So that's something you might need to take into account before you order these things. Or I guess you could, as long as you're aware of that, you could drill the hole out. However, the height of this tab is significantly longer versus the stock as well, and I'm afraid that if you don't grind this tab down, it's going to be hitting your actual axle. So not only is this tab larger in diameter, but it's also taller. So okay, so here's what I've decided to do about this indexing tab here. What I'm going to do is I've clamped my springs down, taken the springs off the Jeep again, and then I'm going to remove this bolt here and see if I can get this indexing tab to come out, and I will then machine it to where it's the proper height and width. So that's my next step. Okay, so there it is. What I'm going to do is machine it down to where it'll actually fit. Okay, this is what it should look like versus this one, which was much bigger. That turned out really good. And I know it'll fit because I've checked it. This is a 1/2 inch OD. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. I don't know if you can see this on camera, but there's a little tab, the indexing tab that I just machined is going inside of a hole, and that basically indexes your rear axle to your springs. And so I've now got it started, and what I'm going to do now is snug it up. Also notice that there's a wedge, like a metal wedge there, and what that does is that angles your rear drive shaft more towards your transmission so that it's in line. Alright, what I'm going to do now is take some measurements. From here to the .32.5 for the front, and for the back. 25 3/4 for the back. So that's what a 2.5 inch lift will give you. Those are 33s that's on this Jeep, 33 size tires. Overall, this was pretty labor intensive. I probably took me 2 days to put them on there. It took me 1 day for the front. Well, I say a half day for the front and a full day for the back. Actually, it took me longer for the back than the front because I had to assemble and then reassemble, disassemble the rear axle. I'm sorry, the rear springs because of that indexing tab that I mentioned earlier in the video. But anyway, it's put together and it's right now. So let's check it out whenever we go to driving it.